Hey, what's up guys? It's Ryan here with Carven Exhaust. Today we're going to be doing an install and product review, a little overview, hints, tips, tricks of whatever we can do to help install the Subaru kit. It's for the 2015 to 19 WRX and STI. Let's get it going. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the OEM factory exhaust already removed from the vehicle. You just remove it from the OEM hangers on each side and unbolt from the Y-pipe back all the way up front to where the third cat is. Real simple, but save us some time here on the video. The first thing that we're going to do is just go ahead and prep all of the hangers, basically the rubber grommets that hold the actual exhaust on. Make sure everything's lined up properly and they're straight. I like to use a little bit of a grease or a lubricant. The hangers of the actual exhaust kit slip in a little bit easier. WD-40 will work just as well. It really doesn't make a difference, but all we're gonna do is put our finger on the one side to keep the grease in and just a nice light spray. Where the third cat, aka resonator, is at in the mid pipe, we don't need to worry about lubricating anything here. We have a laser CNC cut flange that will properly fit directly over it. You can actually see, I've been running the product for about a year now. You can see how the inlet of our pipe slips right over this whole piece and seals up against this flat piece of steel. Now, we do recommend utilizing the OEM hardware. We do supply hardware bolts as well, but the OEM hardware with the spring in it is actually not bad. It's a pretty good equipment to use. So if you're reusing this with an OEM mid-pipe and downpipe setup, I would only recommend the OEM hardware, whereas if you're lining up with an aftermarket downpipe, definitely use the supplied hardware. On my car, I'm going to use the supplied hardware just to show you guys it will work either way. Now, one question I've been getting quite a bit is that our kit, whenever it lines up on the OEM mid-pipe and downpipe setup, J-pipe for you WRX guys, that there's no donut flange. And the best thing about our kit is the fact that we do not need this. The way that we have the inlet cut of the 3-inch piping and 3-inch flange allows it to slide over the entirety of the piece. So all we'll need is a regular flange style gasket. Now, for the supplied hardware that Carven Exhaust is giving you, you're gonna need a 13mm wrench and socket setup. You have to do both sides, so we're gonna go ahead and get these prepped. 13. Highly recommend always using a swivel joint as well on your impact. We're gonna go ahead and start with the very front piece, which will be the mid pipe with the flex pipe combo. We did something a little bit different with this. We put the flex pipe in the rear to help with how much play the exhaust gets due to the torquiness of these cars. We kind of pitched it up a little bit in the center to have it hug the body as close as possible. So for everyone that's, you know, coilovers, is slammed, is bagged, anything like that, this kit definitely will never give you an issue as far as dragging or touching the ground. So like I said before, it's a slip over. All you're gonna do is line it up, make sure we're lined up exact, slip the supplied hardware through. Now in the very beginning, we're only gonna do everything hand tight. We don't wanna torque everything down just yet until we have everything in the final position. We have the fitment exactly the way that we want it. Now, the next piece that we're gonna grab is what we call the S-pipe. It's the one that wraps right around the differential here, and there's actually a hanger placement for it right here. Go ahead and grab this. Like I said, we already greased the fitting. Grab one of the supplied 3-inch band clamps. It's a 1-inch slide over, slip over clamp. Like so, just slide it up the pipe a little bit further so we have some free play. Go ahead and dry hang it. Push back a little bit towards the rear of the car and just make the two mid-pipe and S-pipe up. Now you can see, to get it pushed all the way together, you really need to play with it, and that is crucial when installing this kit to guarantee no leaks or sealing problems. All right, go ahead and make any little adjustments to angle that you might need. Any tolerance in the piping could totally change up or affect the tip placement on the rear end of the vehicle. So for this instance, we're gonna slip it to the left. That way it's directly facing the ground. And we're gonna swap over to a 15 millimeter for these. We're just gonna torque it down enough to be dry hung. We don't wanna torque it down all the way or to full spec settings. Lastly, and the most important part of the muffler and tip section, we want to go ahead and dry hang that first, and I always throw it into the furthest to the rear hanger first. You can manipulate this second one, pull back on it towards the front of the car a little bit, and slip it over with ease. So now that we have 2 of the 3 pieces of our Subaru Rally Kit style single exit exhaust installed, we're going to move on to the muffler section. Like I said, it's not too complicated, but first things first, we want to get the 3-inch band clamp over its fitting before we dry hang the muffler. Just go ahead and slide it up the pipe a little bit. We'll keep it out of the way. This is what I was talking about, where you have to be a little more meticulous to make sure things are butted up all the way. This extra ½ inch of tolerance will completely throw this off. So like I said, this is just a dry hang, and we're gonna go back through, and we're gonna really make sure that these things are seated. That'll prevent you from leaks and other performance exhaust things that, are gonna negatively affect us. The more air we move out, the smoother, the more power we're gonna be making. So one thing I do want to cover is making sure that all the joints are fully slipped over. You should push these together and push up against them until you hear a steady pop, or you can physically see it fully seat or butt up against the rest of the piping where it's not expanded. That is very crucial. We don't want to torque all these down. We're not ready to completely torque these to settings yet. Like I said, you want to manipulate some stuff, give yourself a 1 inch or a finger's worth gap between the differential and the piping. And then we want to move forward, put our eyes on everything else, make sure nothing else moved. Any changes or intolerance, like I said, can dramatically change where the tip is at. Now, we want to move all the way back forward after you've eyeballed everything. Everything's decently snug, kind of where you want it. We're going to move back up to the 13 mil joint. You can see right here we have a little bit of play between the 2 flanges. I personally like to use a support to help seat these correctly. This is pushing up ever so slightly up against this pipe, which will give me the flat surface that I need to properly seal the gasket between the 2 flanges. So we're gonna grab the 13 mil socket, the 13 mil wrench, now you want to go back and forth. You don't want to torque one all the way down and then the other. You want to go between the 2 so you get an even seat. And you can see the piping actually moving upward even more the more we torque it. All right, from a visual standpoint, it looks like we're all the way sealed. You want to check up and down, run your finger across the top, make sure you don't feel any gaps. No play. Let's move down the exhaust now. We're going to swap over to the 15 mil single socket. So now the exhaust is officially on the vehicle. We're going to go make sure everything else is kind of where we want it. We still have good clearance around the diff, around the rear axle, and we're lined up centered with our aggressive angle, the rally style, that we're shooting for. Now pushing up gently. You want to torque that down as much as possible. I believe spec rating on it 65 to 70 foot-pounds. We have this set to 75 just for safe measures. It's still good enough to where we could by hand unbolt or loosen these bolts. right, now that we have everything tightened down, again, just check for snugness. You shouldn't see any play really in any of the hangers at this point. You'll be able to play a little bit with the forward and side to side movement in this, but that's okay. We want a little bit of tolerance, which is coming from the flex pipe. Like I said, these are very torquey platform cars, so it's a necessity with our exhaust systems. Now we're gonna go look at it from the rear, make sure it's got that nice aggressive angle. If it does, we're gonna bring it down a little bit. So you'll see right here, a perfect example. There should be a nice ½ inch of clearance around the valance, so we avoid melting the bumper valance, and it should be centered when you're looking at it. Right here, everything looks good to go. So we're gonna go ahead and drop it down and test for leaks. Now, last but not least, I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. I know one of the biggest things with the single exit exhaust, even though you're saving weight opposed to OEM or any other dual exit exhaust, you're also gaining a little bit more performance. But like I said, the last final touch, and this one's a little worn. This is one that I've been flying on the Subaru since day one. It means a little bit to me. It's the very first toe strap I ever had made. We're gonna put this one back on my car and just kind of finish up completing the rear bumper look. Now there is a predetermined hole already in the rear bumper on a piece of sheet metal right beneath the heat shield where the old OEM exhaust muffler used to be. I also leave all of the hangers on the vehicle. They're not gonna fall off. There's a knob on one side that keeps them still for the most part. So if you ever wanna go back to stock, you don't have to worry about losing them. They're just right there for you. But other than that, that's really the entirety of this kit. Like I said, we're gonna bring it down a little bit. I'm gonna climb up there. We're gonna start it up. We're gonna let the kit get a little warm. We want the molecules inside the steel to be active and get their final seating position to your vehicle. So whenever you install brand new products, it takes a little time to fully seat and adjust specifically to your vehicle, but that's what gives you an exact fitment. All right, so last but not least, while we have the vehicle in the air, the car's running, I'm gonna go ahead and test all of the fittings. And basically just put your hand over it. See if you can hear any slapping against your skin or anything like that. That would indicate a leak. Right now you can hear clearly, there's not one at this joint. There's not one on this joint. And there's not one on the flange. So once we verified that there's no leaks, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That'll wrap up the 2015 to 19 Subaru STI and WRX Carven exhaust single exit rally catback kit. This is in cab of our Subaru kit, the single exit This is stock heads, stock downpipe, J-pipe. There's nothing modified other than the catback. Give you guys a little bit of a taste of what it sounds like inside the cab. So, you guys can kind of tell there's not a ton of drone. You're going to hear a lot more of the kit inside the cab. Obviously, that's kind of the point of putting a cab back on. As far as drone or resonance goes, though, the style muffler that's on there is designed not to have a high-pitched rasp or a lot of resonance. But like I said, everybody's interpretation is a little bit different. Are you going to hear the kit inside your vehicle? Absolutely. Does it drone? No. So long as you have stock downpipe, stock midpipe, stuff like that, stock heads. Now you do anything to that, it changes the game quite a bit, but we're speaking on a stock system right now. So that was $4 grand in first gear. Just to kind of let you guys know too, the WRX is notorious for having a lot of pops, cracks, whatever you want to call it. The backfire is still going to be there. You still get a solid one between second and third and fourth. More so one single loud one than multiple smaller ones, but it still sounds really good. And for the guys that are catless, it'll allow you to shoot flames, that's for sure. We're in first gear at 20 miles an hour. I don't know if you guys can hear the pops or not, but we just got a couple of good ones. Alright guys, enough with the talk. You guys saw us build it, install it, and talk about it. Now let's hear what she's got. Alright guys, that is a wrap. That is the Carven exhaust 2015 to 19 WRX and STI complete catback kit. Everything from making the product, installing the product, an overview of the product, to even doing a couple of pulls inside the cab, outside the cab. Everything that we can do that should answer a lot of questions. Please like, subscribe, and comment below on this video, and we'll keep them coming.